All right, so the truth is, no dude wants to be called Pam. But the truth is, most men have a Pam problem. The Pam problem, guys, you know what that is? It's the passive-aggressive man. Passive with his hopes, dreams, desires, maybe aggressive with vices, self-sabotage, distractions. They also struggle with women, work, and the world of men. Pam is passive with women, constantly friend-zoned. He's the nice guy that women keep around to help them move, check on their dogs, but never want to date. Pam is passed up at work, passed up for the promotion, and can't seem to catch a break. If you think you may have a Pam problem, or maybe you know someone that does, check out the High Value Man Conversation on Apple and Spotify and learn how to stop Pam and become a high value man. Learn more about the host, Aaron Alejandrino, on Instagram at TheFitBeard, all one word. But the podcast is called High Value Man Conversation. I checked it out on Apple Podcasts. It already has a 5-star review. It's got some great episodes, including how to avoid that dreaded friend zone. Those of you guys out there, I'm very familiar with that friend zone over the years. I was lucky enough to finally get out of it, but that is going to be an excellent episode for you guys out there that are stuck in that situation. You can also learn how to just make friends. I mean, just basic stuff, but critical stuff as well. Check out the High Value Man Conversation. It's available on Apple Podcasts and Spotify. You're not going to want to miss it. It'll add value to your life, guaranteed. Check it out today.
This is WWE superstar Drew McIntyre, and you're listening to the WWE Podcast.
The champ is the one that everybody wants, me. Is going to WrestleMania. Claymore! Austin 316 says I just whipped your ass. This is my idol. You're going to acknowledge me.
All right, everybody, guys and girls, welcome back to another edition of the SmackDown Review right here on the WWE Podcast. As always, I am one of the hosts of the show, Michael Ritter. You can find me on Twitter at Michael5Ritter or on Instagram at MichaelRitter5. Also the host of the Football Function Podcast, available on all of your podcasting platforms, including the one that you're listening to this show on, and also available on Patreon if you prefer an ad-free experience. Definitely make that your second or third listen of the day. If I can, recommend a podcast after you finish listening to this one. I mean, we haven't had an episode drop here in a few days, but the last episode we did have drop was with the Grim Reaper, so a voice of the WWE Podcast. I'm not sure if anybody has heard Grim Reaper's voice or not. I know I haven't heard it on the show until he came onto my show, Football Function, so I definitely would recommend you guys checking that out. Obviously, it would mean a lot to me just, giving you guys, for longtime listeners of this show, know that podcast has kind of been something that I've been building over the past year and a half now, and it definitely just goes a long way to helping me. So, back to wrestling. Just want to do a little bit of a shameless plug there. Back to wrestling here. Joining me on today's episode to talk about the SmackDown that aired on August 19th, 2022 from Montreal, Quebec, Canada. Actually, the 1200th episode of SmackDown. So this is definitely a milestone episode. And we do have a nice SmackDown-themed top 5 at the very end of the episode. But joining me to get through this SmackDown recap here, John Carrasco, my humble co-host. You can find him on Twitter, at Big Speaker. That's BIGG_speaker. John, how you doing, bud? Aren't you glad it's Friday?
Oh, man, I'm doing pretty good. Yes, sir. And thank you for the shout-out, man. And yeah, it's been a tough week, I guess you could say.
Oh, my gosh.
Work-wise. I mean, don't want to get into it too much, but yeah, I mean, it's been one of the, I'd say a continuous, stressful time, I guess you could say. It's just I don't know, man. But
to put it in wrestling terms, if we're like, say me and you were having to be in 6-man tag matches, and our tag team partner just so happens to be, I don't know, James Ellsworth. I know you're not really familiar with who James Ellsworth is, but if you know who James Ellsworth is and you're listening to the show, then you pretty much know what I'm talking about. Yeah, me and John have basically been having to, carry the slack for some people who aren't very good at work. But hey, that is what it is. It's just, personal life stuff. We're not going to carry that over to the WWE Podcast. But yes, I totally agree. it'll definitely make for a long week, and I could not be happier that the week is over for multiple reasons. Obviously, the weekend is here. You get through a long, hot week of work, and you get to, top it off and end it with the nightcap, which is Friday Night SmackDown, and this was a damn good episode.
Yes, sir.
And I'm glad that we get to recap it. It's always fun, especially episodes like this that are entertaining. You always have that element of surprise. I know some stuff kind of got leaked before the show in terms of like people who were going to appear and why they were going to appear. We'll kind of get into that a little bit later. But all in all, I was still excited to watch SmackDown. You kind of talked about it, that you do get a little bit more excited to watch these WWE shows here over the past couple of weeks for obvious reasons. Mm-hmm. Given that Triple H kind of running the show, things are a little bit different. You really know, you never know what the next episode is going to bring. But with all that being said, we can go ahead and get into it. Oh yeah, by the way, just because I saw it a little bit earlier, I'm freaking tired of seeing those blue ropes on NXT, man. Get them on SmackDown. Yep. We're going to leave it there. We won't go any further. 1200th episode, I got to bring up the blue ropes. Come on, show some damn respect. But anyways, let's go ahead and get into this SmackDown, shall we? Excuse me, Ronda Rousey. She starts this one by entering through the crowd. And, she stumbles through it, but she does get her promo out. She says that she paid her fine last week, and she is not leaving the ring until she gets reinstated. And then she tells Adam Pearce to come to the ring, which he finally does, and he comes to unanimous boos, I guess is what I was, trying to say. And that's boos as in B-O-O-S, not B-O-O-Z-E. He comes out to the crowd booing him like crazy, and he's followed by a group of security guards. He respectfully asks her to leave the ring peacefully, but she says that that's what she did last week, and she warns him to not make her choose violence this week. And then the security guards eventually go into the ring. She makes light work of them. Police officers come out to the ring and put her in handcuffs to escort her out of the arena. And I know they're kind of sort of trying to turn her heel, it seems, but I got to be honest, if you're going to give her a last line, her last words being, quote-unquote, Pierce, nice haircut, it's going to be tough for her to be a heel in my book.
Well, man, that was definitely funny at the end of that. But the thing that got me was whenever she put that dude in like that, or before she was going to put him in the armbar, and he was just like screaming, Ronda, no, type stuff.
Dude, that guy, I'm glad you brought that up. He, for some reason, I didn't get a great look at him, but he, just in terms of his face, the eyes that he was making, his facial expressions looking up at Ronda Rousey, he looked like the guy who plays the homeless guy on Big Daddy. The one that gets the Egg McMuffin or whatever. He's on several Adam Sandler movies. Mm-hmm. That's just kind of who I saw. I should have looked him up, but I didn't plan on bringing him up. But since you did, it was on the top of my head. I had to. But yeah, go ahead.
Yeah, but yeah, that was like the interesting part of it. I mean, over all the talking and everything, it was just too much, I guess you could say. Ronda she has some time off. She should be at least rehearsing, I guess. Taking some, I don't know, verbal classes or something. I don't know. I just don't get what she's doing out there. But I did like it whenever they shut the car door on her. She was still talking. That was the best part of her. Yeah. Promo right there.
A nice touch. Yeah. Whenever you could barely hear her, that's usually whenever it's probably the best.
Couldn't even hear her.
Oh, just whenever you cut her off. Okay, I get it now. But anyways, I will say they've done this angle several times of like a suspended person coming through the crowd and breaking over the barricade or whatever, and just kind of breaking the rules and showing up. And I gotta say, this is the one where it feels like they're forcing it. Like nobody really cares. At least no one that I have talked to about Ronda Rousey, showing up despite she's suspended. Mm-hmm. She's not really. I mean, she's kind of like an afterthought right now if you really think about it. It's Shayna Baszler, it's Liv Morgan, and some of these other women that are involved in the tag team tournament. That's where the focal point is in the women's division. No one's really thinking about Ronda Rousey. At least that's kind of the view I have on it, I guess. So whenever I see her come over to the ramp, I'm like, oh, she's back. I forgot she was even suspended, number one. Just that's how far off in my brain it is. And then number two, it's like the crowd isn't getting, too crazy, although I will say Montreal was behind Ronda Rousey tonight. They did say we want Ronda several times. They had some chants going. They were were supportive of her, but even a crowd that's extremely supportive of her really doesn't, I guess they don't go that crazy whenever she shows up, or at least, as crazy as they used to go. But as she's leaving in the cop car, we see a black Yukon. At least it might be black. I know the windows are extremely tinted. But it pulls up, and it does include, or I guess the precious cargo that was inside is the WWE Undisputed Universal Champion, Roman Reigns. So that's just kind of reminding us, oh yeah, Roman Reigns goes face-to-face with Drew McIntyre tonight. Definitely get your popcorn ready for that. But let's see here. Moving on, speaking of that women's tag team tournament, we get a qualifying match, or I guess just, a tournament match, whatever it is, before the semifinals. Quarterfinals, I guess, is what it is. But anyways, Natalya and Sonya Deville take on Toxic Attraction. They take the place of the former NXT team that was in the tournament. That is Nikita Lyons and Zoe Stark, which, I kind of forecasted this whole tournament, and it was playing out exactly how I thought it was until injuries kind of, put a fork in things. But I still think it's going to be the same outcome in terms of the NXT team versus Io Sky and Dakota Kai. I do believe that's still going to be the championship or the finals at Clash at the Castle, I believe, is whenever they're going to do that. Hopefully, at least it makes sense, to have the finals be at the pay-per-view coming up. Mm-hmm. But I still think it's going to be the newly returned tag team, Sky and Kai, versus the NXT tag team. It's just going to be a different NXT tag team. But as far as this match goes, I will say Gigi Dolan. I was a fan of her whenever she was Priscilla Kay in the independent circuit or in the indie scene, however you want to phrase it. I definitely have been following her, and she is a very good wrestler and fun to look at. I'll just be honest. She is definitely a very toxic attraction, or she's a toxic, attractive woman, I guess you could say. But either way, I'm a fan, to say the least. I like what she's doing out there. Natalya doesn't see the tag in this match. Fast forward kind of all the way to the end after a pretty good little back and forth here. Both women get to showcase somewhat what they do to people who aren't very familiar with NXT, myself included. I'm not familiar with Gigi Dolan in NXT other than like highlights and stuff. I'm familiar with her as Priscilla Kay in the indie scene. But like I said, Natalya does not see Gigi's tag team partner. What's her name? Did you catch her name? It's like Jade something?
JCJ.
JC Jade? Okay, that's on me. Jay? Okay, I knew I was going to butcher it again. But anyways, she tags in without Natalya seeing. Natalya's trying to put Gigi in the sharpshooter, but she gets rolled up 1, 2, 3, and Toxic Attraction advances to the next round. I believe they go against Raquel and Aaliyah next week on SmackDown in the semifinals match. What do you got to think? Any predictions there on that one? You can get out ahead of everybody.
Well, I mean, I don't have no predictions for it. I mean, I'm actually liking how the suspense is there, and having the thought of who could actually win this type deal. So I mean, that's kind of cool for me. But yeah, man, I actually did want to see Nikita Lyons actually performing, I guess you could say, rather than just seeing her Twitter and stuff like that, pictures, if anything. But that's another story. But Gigi Dolan, yeah, I guess that's I wouldn't say an upgrade or anything. I mean, of course, I don't really know her that much as well. But the team, I mean, they looked like they were doing their stuff. The chemistry was kind of there and everything like that. So, I mean, I wasn't mad at it, Yeah. And then for Sonya Deville, man, I don't know, if you had caught it, but how they were already in the ring, and they were doing Natalya's entrance, and it kind of seemed like it just skipped over hers, I guess you could say, and she just looked all mad on the side of the ropes. I was I wonder if she's kind of pissed because she's not getting the attention or the same respect, from I guess what had happened with her and Adam Pearce. But yeah, that was just something that kind of popped out to me, and I was like, little chin scratcher.
Yeah, Dakota Kai, Bailey, and Io actually show up, and they are at ringside here. They are mouthing off to Pat McAfee and Michael Cole. They do get involved just a little bit, talking crap to Sonya Deville. I did like the line that Bailey said, saying, "You're better at being a GM than you are at this." And we all know how bad she was at a GM, so that's not necessarily a compliment there, but. Anyways, moving on here. This is actually one of my more entertaining parts of the show. Sami Zayn gets some one-on-one time with Roman Reigns in his locker room, and you could hear the crowd popping for Sami Zayn like this. We'll get to that in the Fatal 5-Way tag team match. Definitely late, guys. Got to bear with us here, all right? The Fatal 5-Way number 1 contenders match for the Intercontinental Championship against Gunther at Clash of Champions. Clash at the Castle. I just can't even get through this damn thing, can I? But either ways, we're leaving all this in. Either way, let's see here. Rewind a little bit. Let me get back to where I was. Sami Zayn got a crazy pop for this Fatal 5-Way #1 contenders match for Gunther's Intercontinental Championship at Clash at the Castle. There we go. Feel a lot better about that one. But anyways, yeah, man, I mean, as far as this little backstage segment, I mean, you could hear the crowd going crazy just whenever he was popping up on the Jumbotron. And you know that they were kind of showing us what was going on backstage. But basically, Sami Zayn calls out Jay for constantly getting on his case and questioning if he's pulling his weight in the bloodline. We've all heard him, yada, yada, yada. Well, Roman Reigns actually agrees that Jey Uso's kind of, you know, a little bit suspect, I guess you could say. That's one way to put it. It's kind of hard for me to phrase it or to put it into words, but if you watch the segment and you could just tell by his body language, you knew what Roman Reigns was kind of, you know, getting out there. And who knows if he's just, you know, pulling Sami's leg, leading him in a certain direction. I personally don't know yet. I don't have as good of a grasp on that situation, I feel like, with exactly what's going to happen with Sami Zayn and the bloodline and that whole dynamic. I am looking forward to seeing that unfold in the coming weeks. But he walks away, Roman Reigns does, while Sami Zayn is still there. Immediately after he walks away, conveniently, Jey Uso calls his cell phone. Sami says, hey, you know, Jay's calling you right now. Your phone's ringing. You know, typical thing you do if you see your friend's phone ringing, he's away. And Roman Reigns, oh, no, go ahead, you answer it. You can go ahead. And then he's like, hey, what's up, Oos? You know, he answers the phone, and Jay basically, you know, just tells him, hey, we're having some trouble at the border, and, you know, we're not going to be able to make it. And who knows what he means by trouble and all that good stuff, but basically Roman Reigns is visibly bothered by that whenever he finds out that they're not going to be there tonight. However, he still wishes Sami good luck in his match coming up, and he does kind of comment on how the Intercontinental Championship would look good in the bloodline. I have to agree on that. What are your thoughts on this segment?
Man, this was comical. I mean, from the very beginning.
Great stuff.
Like, just being welcomed in and stuff like that. It was just, it was great to see. And, I mean, I'll get into it here in a little bit whenever we touch base on this next one. But, yeah, if this could have been a little bit longer, man, I don't know. I could have like sat there and watched this as at least a good like 3 minutes longer, I guess you could say, see where it was leading to and stuff like that. But I don't know, man. The only thing I can say is like the little facial expressions every time like Sami Zayn would say like the bloodline or something like that. It kind of looked like Sami Zayn or Roman Reigns gave him a little like mug type thing, you know. I was like, little things that I was just like, I don't know. Pebbles, crumbs, I guess you could say, you know?
Yeah.
But yeah, I was just like, man, I don't know. It just seems like there was something that he was holding back to tell Sami. And at the end of that, you know?
No, I totally agree, and I see what you're saying there. But, excuse me, I will say, man, it's hard not to notice. Like, number one, like, I get it that they were in Montreal. That's his hometown. But, dude, you cannot deny the crowd reaction for Sami Zayn.
Oh, yeah.
And how loud they were, the pop, it was just crazy. The energy that he had when he came out there, I was like, holy crap, man, like this is for real. And just the belief that Triple H has in Sami Zayn, like just from like a competitor, he knows how talented Sami Zayn is. And that's just, I mean, you kind of saw it right there in that segment. The way he was able to carry a segment with Roman Reigns and just stay there, go toe-to-toe, like in terms of like delivery, his demeanor, everything about Sami Zayn was A+ there, and he hit it out of the park. Yeah. He's somebody that can do the same thing with Paul Heyman. You know, we've seen Sami Zayn and Paul Heyman have these segments where they're kind of just, you know, going back and forth. Who knows how much of it's scripted, how much of it is improvised. But long story short, Sami Zayn is a very big asset to the company. I'm so glad he's on SmackDown. He's a true SmackDown competitor. He is one of the guys that since the brand split has happened, he hasn't gone back over to Monday Night Raw. That's why he, like, that's whole elder statesman, that whole gimmick, because he was the elder statesman on SmackDown. You know, you had to basically, like, that's kind of what is starting to remind me of that previous draft where Sami Zayn stayed here, excuse me, in the draft that's coming up here in October. I really hope that Sami Zayn stays on SmackDown. But, yeah, that's pretty much all I wanted to comment on is just, I mean, I'm pretty sure that Triple H was aware of that pop. And like I said, I get it. They're in Montreal. But that was one of the pops that are just like, man, like I haven't heard one that loud since WrestleMania, legitimately. That was crazy. And I bet it was pretty loud at SummerSlam, you know, whenever Dakota Kai and Bayley returned. But man, just for that, I mean, this wasn't a return. This wasn't a SummerSlam packed out football stadium. This was just a typical Monday Night Raw, Friday Night SmackDown. I'm already thinking about Raw going to Toronto. It was in Canada. Just bear with me here, all right? But anyways, for Sami Zayn to get a pop like that just on a regular old SmackDown, you gotta love seeing that if you're a Sami Zayn fan. And I'm gonna go ahead and give it the floor to you because it's called our show Raw.
I don't even know what to say about that, man. But yeah, Sami Zayn, I mean, the pop was crazy. I mean, I guess I could say, well, actually, I don't know, man. Do you think it's like all just because of being in like Canada, or is it more of like maybe him being involved with the bloodline in a way as well?
Like, are you talking about the pop itself, or just I guess, him being featured so prominently?
Yeah. Well, not just being like featured, I guess you could say, because like I felt like whenever like Roman Reigns started like to acknowledge him into the bloodline, whenever he said that the belt would look good with the bloodline, like everybody kind of popped right there too, and I was like, okay, yeah, maybe they do want to see him involved still.
I think that maybe him being such a prominent role or a prominent part of SmackDown today had a lot to do with him being in his hometown. But at the same time, I do believe Triple H's eyes are open now about this. Like, okay, like we're on this. Like we know Sami Zayn is for sure over here. Let's see how over he is in the next city. Whenever they continue to do this. And personally, I feel like this long before they were going to Montreal, this dynamic and this, I guess, progression of Sami Zayn and the bloodline has been very interesting, and I really think that now that Triple H is, in control here, you might just expect it to be turned up a couple notches. Like maybe if it was going to, I guess, boil over at the Royal Rumble, maybe now it boils over at Survivor Series or something like that.
That's what I was about to say too. I wonder like what he had said something about Kevin Owens.
Oh,
I forgot what Kevin Owens had said, but I was kind of curious. I was like, man, could that be leading to something too?
You're listening to the WWE Podcast. We'll be right back after this short break.
All right, so the truth is, no dude wants to be called Pam. But the truth is, most men have a Pam problem. The Pam problem, guys, you know what that is? It's the passive-aggressive man. Passive with his hopes, dreams, desires, maybe aggressive with vices, self-sabotage, distractions. They also struggle with women, work, and the world of men. Pam is passive with women, constantly friend-zoned. He's the nice guy that women keep around to help them move, check on their dogs, but never want to date. Pam is passed up at work, passed up for the promotion, and can't seem to catch a break. If you think you may have a Pam problem, or maybe you know someone that does, check out the High Value Man Conversation on Apple and Spotify and learn how to stop Pam and become a high value man. Learn more about the host, Aaron Alejandrino, on Instagram at TheFitBeard, all one word. But the podcast is called High Value Man Conversation. I checked it out on Apple Podcasts. It already has a 5-star review. It's got some great episodes, including how to avoid that dreaded friend zone. Those of you guys out there, I'm very familiar with that friend zone over the years. I was lucky enough to finally get out of it, but that is going to be an excellent episode for you guys out there that are stuck in that situation. You can also learn how to just make friends. I mean, just basic stuff, but critical stuff as well. Check out the High Value Man Conversation. It's available on Apple Podcasts and Spotify. You're not going to want to miss it. It'll add value to your life, guaranteed. Check it out today.
Welcome back to the WWE Podcast. Let's get back to more great wrestling audio.
Oh, it for sure is. I mean, Kevin Owens being from Montreal, they were definitely planting some seeds there, without a doubt, to kind of get things going there. But speaking of getting things going, Hit Row. They interrupt the Maximum Male Model segment and basically just, this was like a music video, like exactly like a music video where you see some people like on stage or something like that and they have the crowd's attention and then they come out, the people who the music video is about, and they, beat the hell out of the people that are there and they just put on a hell of a show. That's kind of like the way I saw, I was like, man, this is literally like I'm watching MTV right now, just talking about music videos, or at least old school MTV. I don't even know what's on MTV these days. It's ridiculousness, marathons all day, every day. But anyways, what'd you think about this Hit Row segment? Just as a whole, I will say, whenever I saw them attack Maximum Male Models, I was like, well, okay, like that's the first thing they've done that I'm like, nice, like hell yeah, let's go. But then as soon as they put on the concert, I had my thoughts. I'm curious to hear yours.
Well, I mean, I'm glad that the Maximum Male Models got the boos that it deserved. You know, kind of started that. But then, I don't know, man. I can't see the direction. Just because Hit Row is new to me as a whole, I guess you could say. You know, at first I had saw it with including Swerve and stuff like that, and I see that he's doing good, but like right now, like out of those three that are there right now, like the only person that I could see that's possibly could further himself, Top Dollar. You know, it just seems like it's more natural whenever like he's rapping and everything like that. Even in the ring, you know, it seems like he knows like his moves and stuff like that. On the other side, was it B-Fab? Seems like it's kind of like, okay, maybe she just needs to get back in the rhythm of things, like, you know, being out of the work and stuff like that. And I don't even know, Adonis, is that
that's it.
I don't even know what to say about him, just because like he didn't even like rap or anything, you know, so he was just saying
Mad libs
stuff.
in there.
He was just saying some stuff at
The
the
haters
end, and
are
I
back.
was just like, oh man, I don't know. So I mean, I don't see the direction of it. I don't want to say that I don't like it, but I'm not for it right now.
I like that it included some physicality tonight. I will say that. You know, it kind of just establishes themselves, whatever.
I hope it kind of just like boots Maximum Male Models out of the way, because I don't get.
You
that.
saw Maxine come out there.
She was out there dancing,
and
too,
you saw
so.
Top Dollar was eyeing her in the ring too. Whenever he was kind of, you know, I saw that. I caught on to that, but I will say just quickly, I don't know much about it. I know that Swerve is involved with like this Hidden Treasures A&E WWE like TV show type thing. That's the first place I saw him. That was my introduction to him. So to see him go from that to like this drastic of a change, you know, where he was like trying to buy historic artifacts from people and like very like, you know, I guess buttoned up type, you know, definitely didn't portray himself as like a musician, which you know that I guess that doesn't mean anything, right? Like me seeing him in that setting doesn't mean that he's not like a rapper, you know, but I guess just seeing the drastic change is kind of what takes me out of the moment is one thing. Like if that was all I ever saw him as Top Dollar coming out with Hit Row, I might feel a little bit different. But because I was exposed to that first, it did kind of taint the way that I view Top Dollar just by himself. Mm-hmm. And I guess guilty by association, it took a little bit of credibility away from the group. So it was tough for me to really get behind him from day one. And just seeing, I'll be honest, the word that always comes back to me whenever I see this is corny. That's just kind of what it is. I just feel like, it's extremely corny. And, you know, we'll see if they can evolve. We'll see if they can, you know, kind of find a niche here. But I do think that them, you know, kicking ass and then performing, you know, in the ring, that might be a little bit sustainable. I will say, just if you're going to add some physicality to it, like I was mentioning, is like, I feel like this could establish themselves as like a group that is like going to just absolutely run through whoever is in their way and still, you know, take the stage and basically like hold the show hostage for a little bit. Although you can expect at some point somebody's going to interrupt their song, their music's going to hit, and we're going to get a program out of that. But I mean, as far as the song itself goes, would you add it to your playlist or would you hit skip?
I would have to hit skip.
All right.
Yep.
All right. I definitely will not say you're wrong there at all. But anyways, let's go ahead and move on to the Fatal 5-Way match, the number one contendership for the Intercontinental Champion, Gunther. And I don't know if that's necessarily what you, I mean, you're winning, but at the same time, like the way I see this is like the Chiefs being the first team to advance to the AFC Championship game And these two teams that are also playing in the divisional round are trying to play to go, the winner gets to go play the Chiefs. It's going to be a hard-ass game, a hard-fought game, and you're going to have your work cut out for you. You're going to have to go against one of the best quarterbacks in the league. So in comparison to this, I feel like that's kind of the same thing. Like, yeah, you win, but what's the prize? Getting 5 chops that you're never going to get chopped as hard again in your entire life? Getting that vicious powerbomb through the mat, running into somebody who is an absolute buzzsaw and is red hot right now, and that's Gunther. And you know how high I am on this guy, somebody that has not wavered in terms of like my confidence in his championship reign since he got the title. I mean, I would have been interested to see Sami Zayn just because of like the that underdog aspect. Him getting the number 1 contendership in his hometown, going up against Gunther. He would have been able to tell a good story. I really believe that. So I would have been interested there, but I truly feel like none of these guys really are a threat. They're really not. And Gunther is making that Intercontinental Championship feel more like prestigious. And that's what you always want, because people always call it that. They always reference that. This title has the most prestige, it has the most history behind it. Why isn't it more, featured on the show, this and that? Well, it's all about who has it, in my personal opinion. It doesn't always kind of, equal that no matter what. But for the most part, if the champion is doing a good job, showcasing that title, making it feel important, then more often than not, the title is going to, just by default, be important. And you're going to want to see it on the show. And I feel like with Gunther holding it, it's kind of been like that for a while now. But anyways, just back to this match, the Fatal 5-Way. Very long, really all over the place. Every single wrestler in this match had a spot where it looked like they were in complete control and sometimes even seemed like they could close it out. That was just kind of what I thought. There were several times where I thought it was going to be over, excuse me, but it just continued on. So you do like to see that because it gets you into the moment and it really makes you invested. Sheamus does end up stealing this win after Sami Zayn's heroics fall short. Keep in mind, he got injured. He had to leave. It looked like maybe a shoulder or something like that was injured. He comes back. The crowd roars. He almost pins Ricochet, I believe it was. He hits a haluva kick right in the corner. He has him, pinned. He was not kicking out. Baron Corbin pulls him out of the ring. Pretty rough fall if you watched it, just from just dragging him out. That's always pretty tough. Like, one thing I've noticed is like someone will have I can't even tell you how many times like Sasha Banks had somebody like in the bank statement or something like that, just pulling on their face. Their neck's just, actually pulled back and like they're reaching for the ropes, whoever she has it in, or whoever she has that move in is reaching for the ropes. And that person's partner or whoever is like pulling their arm, trying to pull them closer to the ropes while they're like getting their neck pulled. And I was like, you're honestly hurting them a little bit worse. Right. But this was kind of one of those where, he got yanked out of the ring. And that was the end of Sami Zayn. Made Baron Corbin look even more like an ass than he already did. The crowd, in fact, chanted a-hole. So, you always love that. I love a good a-hole chant. I would have definitely participated in that if it was me. But what'd you think about Sheamus winning, being the number 1 contender for Gunther?
Well, at the very beginning of this, man, my 2 possibilities of the people winning was either Sami Zayn or Sheamus. Okay. So, for that to actually happen, man, I was kind of like, okay, we're about to see like 2 brutal guys kind of go at each other, and it's not going to be no mediocre stuff. It's going to be, I think they're going to put on a good show for us, in 2 weeks, I believe it is, right? Clash of the Castle. Yeah.
Yeah, Clash of the Castle, my bad, yeah.
Yeah. Whenever they go at it, man, I just think that it's just going to be something that we're not going to be disappointed in. So, yes, so seeing Sheamus win, that was definitely a positive for me.
I agree. Sheamus definitely is somebody who, of any of those guys, they definitely give, I guess Gunther a possibility of having a good match, to say the least.
Yeah, I just felt like, man, Madcap, I'm high for him.
I like Madcap, yeah.
It just didn't feel like his, like he was there physically, of course he was there, fighting and stuff like that, but it wasn't like the normal Madcap that we see, energetic, getting some good spears and stuff like that. So I was just like, okay, yeah, I just don't see like too much going for him in this one. I was kind of like, oh man. But Corbin, it was kind of cool to see him kind of bouncing back from his Pat McAfee thing and stuff like this. But I don't know, man. I think Sheamus is going to put on a good one for us.
He will. I mean, definitely, it's a big guy versus a big guy. Somebody who can maybe, put some physicality on the Gunther. Who knows? I'm definitely going to be tuning into that one. Looking forward to seeing how it plays out. What about the Viking Raiders video package? Just kind of how that was. It was a little bit dark. It looked like kind of like a funeral, maybe. Is that what it was? Burning all the New Day stuff. The box of Bootios was in there. They kind of talk about how they've, done damage to the New Day. What'd you take away from this?
Well, the only thing I wouldn't say the only thing, but like main thing was like I was kind of curious, like who was doing that finger painting on them? Like who was that extra person that could be possibly their third guy? I'm not saying like, oh, they like stomped out the New Day and stuff like that, but they've definitely put their work on them and stuff like that to kind of, man, I wouldn't say like dismember them in a way, but
put them on the shelf. I mean, if anything is going to put an end to the New Day, because people have always been, they've been craving a gimmick change.
Mm-hmm.
Saying they need to stop. They've been doing the same thing.
Maybe they're, because they called it the New Day funeral last week.
It's very, I guess, symbolic is a good word to kind of say it. But
yeah, so that's the only thing that I kind of was like, man, maybe they're breaking this group up. Maybe gonna try and like shake things up. But then again, I was like, I want to see Big E go against one of these guys at least one time. Like as the group together. But I don't know, man. I definitely have a new look on I'm gonna give it to them. Vicious Viking Raiders.
Vicious. All right. You like to see it. But
I do.
Another thing I like to see is Liv Morgan compete in the ring against Shotzi. This is a pretty little, I guess, I'm trying to think of the word to use. I guess fiery matchup, because these two, they've been going back and forth on Twitter. I'm not sure if you've seen this or not.
That was actually funny.
They've been poking fun at each other. I got to say, Shotzi got her a little good. Liv Morgan, man, she's been on the receiving end of some punches. This title reign's going to change her.
I was going to say, the one that got me, though, when it was Shayna Baszler. I mean, I wouldn't expect her to even enter or, care to tweet anything at all. And she put like that, like water glitter tears, and I was just picture Liv with those little things, and I just started rolling. Dude.
Yeah, she might want to wipe that off of her shtick there.
That was the funniest thing I took out of like today, I guess you could say, from out of all of that.
But one thing Liv took away today was a win. She got the win over Shotzi with the Oblivion. Shayna Baszler comes out, attacks her, says, hey, I'm not going to break your arm now because I actually want you to make it to Clash at the Castle where I could beat you then. Break your arm then, take your title. And that's that. Do you have anything else to add on this, though, as far as like the match and the segment goes?
Well, I mean, I don't even know what it was. Was it a DDT that Shotzi had did to Liv on the side of the ring where she like smacked her head like direct and then fell off? That thing looked like it was just like crazy right there. I don't know. It had to have been a DDT in my mind, but that was definitely like a crazy move right there. It just looked painful as heck whenever she landed on her head.
Oh, yeah, she did. They went to commercial break, yeah.
Yeah, and I was just like, gosh, dang.
Be careful there, man. Those will really do some damage.
Mm-hmm. And then out of this one, man, I kind of felt like Shotzi, she was the better performer in this. Like, it's like she was like the believable winner, So for Liv to get that little, I don't even know, because she was just getting beat up, like the whole time. And then it just changed in a quick, 5 seconds at the end of the match, and she just got the win, and I was like, I couldn't see it go that way, but man, Shotzi, she looked good to me in this match.
Yeah, definitely. I mean, I like Shotzi from Oakland, California, so that's one little connection you got with her there. I know you got your Raiders hat on right there. Shout out to the Raiders.
Yes, sir.
Although they're not in Oakland anymore, I think we all know where Raider Nation really resides. But why don't we? Let's not waste any more time. Let's get to this face-to-face. Roman Reigns, Drew McIntyre, man, they were both spitting fire. I got to say, Drew was absolutely just, saying, yeah, you're absolutely, I don't even really know where to start, just because I don't want to do them a disservice. They're both going off. I will say just really quickly here, that new tree animation that Roman Reigns had as he came out, it was like and then they did his typical one, where he's doing his thing. But the tree is one that I thought, but man, I do think Drew McIntyre won this verbal exchange, took the shirt off. I'm sure the ladies of Quebec love that. And then, just went toe-to-toe, started trading blows with Roman Reigns. Mm-hmm. Pretty good stuff. Gave you a nice little taste. But unfortunately, Sami Zayn comes out. And he kind of saves Roman Reigns. and Roman, or at least for a little bit. He saves him temporarily.
From one of them.
He saves him temporarily, and that's just, a testament to Drew McIntyre. The fact that he is damn near inevitable. Like, even if Sami Zayn comes out, even if the Usos come out, it really doesn't matter. He seems to be on a collision course with that undisputed Universal WWE Championship.
Man, I like how Drew, he's been, like, wanting to get a fight started at, like, these past couple of weeks, like, getting the crowd involved and everything like that. So it's definitely good to see, like, these two going at it. But, man, I don't even know. I mean, of course, we know the direction of who's going to win and stuff like that. But, I mean, for Roman to go against Drew, man, he's definitely going to get, like, another Brock beating in my eyes whenever this happens, because Drew McIntyre, he's not going to want to disappoint whenever he's at, his hometown, or I wouldn't say hometown, but his home's place, I guess you could say, So, yeah, definitely ready for this to happen. Good 2 weeks.
But Drew stands victorious, and that is how SmackDown goes off the air. But we can go ahead and transition into a top 5, and this is a very special top 5 for us here on the SmackDown review. Not only is this the 96th edition since I've been doing this SmackDown review, but it's also the 1200th episode of SmackDown in general. So we thought, why not bring back Top 5 Friday for this special occasion and go ahead and tie it to SmackDown. And what we're going to do there is I'm going to give you my top 5 SmackDown wrestlers of all time. And I know you might be a little bit confused there. What are you talking about, SmackDown? I mean, there's drafts nowadays. The brand split didn't even exist for like 6-7 years, however long that was. There was a point in time where wrestlers used to have a synonymous connection, or they were just synonymous in general with a specific brand. Both Raw and SmackDown, hell, even ECW, had some people that were very synonymous with their brands. So I'm going to highlight the SmackDown superstars on this particular episode, and we're going to basically just go through, and I'm going to run through my quick top 5 of SmackDown superstars of all time. Let's not waste any more time. Let's go ahead and run through it really quickly. Some honorable mentions here. Paul London and Billy Kidman. They were a tag team. They had the WWE Tag Team Championships for a little while. Just phenomenal wrestlers. Just if you watch them compete, it's like, if they needed a third guy, Ricochet would fit in well with them. They're kind of cut from the same cloth as him. Just phenomenal wrestlers inside the ring, good sellers, all that good stuff. Billy Kidman was a damn good shooting star press. I guess he was very good at doing the shooting star press. But anyways, Hardcore Holly, Edge, Rey Mysterio, Tori Wilson, just to name a few. Some Sable, to name some divas as well. I really enjoyed that era of SmackDown. So that was just a little bit of honorable mentions. Best General Manager, Theodore Long. Let me holla at you, playa. Best Stage, The Fist from the Ruthless Aggression era. Before that, I'll give it to the first SmackDown stage. That was pretty cool as well. If you look it up, you'll see some highlights, and you'll recognize, like, okay, that's the stage he's talking about. But without a doubt, The Fist in the Ruthless Aggression era is easily the best stage. Best song, SmackDown Live. Like 2015, I think it was, maybe 2016. Not really sure, but I definitely enjoyed that song. It was a nice little banger there. So just some quick little fun facts, or at least my opinions, here on SmackDown. But let's get into the top 5, shall we? Number 5, JBL, John Bradshaw Layfield, WWE champion for like over a year or something like that. I'm not really sure exactly how long it was, but man, that title run was phenomenal. One of the best heels in the entire WWE's history. He is the textbook character change, like going from something that's a mid-card when he was in the APA and just a tag team wrestler to changing your character, completely getting a new gimmick, changing your look, and elevating yourself to being a world champion. And not only that, but the top heel in the company, or at least on your brand, which was SmackDown at the time. He ultimately lost that championship to John Cena at WrestleMania 21, but he had one of the best reigns as the WWE champion, and I definitely had to give some credit there where it's due. Number 4, this one might be a little bit surprising to some people, but I gave it to The Rock. People might think he should be a little bit higher, given that SmackDown was technically named after him, or at least in his honor. I completely agree with that. He was the first pick back in the original draft, whenever he got drafted to SmackDown. Totally understand that. But his SmackDown career wasn't as good as some of these other guys that are ahead of him, just being completely honest. Even some of the people that are honorable mentions, they had a lot more matches and a lot better runs on SmackDown than The Rock did. I mean, it's no secret. The Rock really made his heyday back in the Raw is War Monday Night War era, that's whenever he kind of established himself as a top guy. Yes, SmackDown, he was the face of it, and even the video games, SmackDown, Shut Your Mouth or whatever it was, back in the day. The Rock was the face of SmackDown, so he has to be on this list. But if you're just being completely honest and objective, guys, there's definitely a lot more wrestlers that made a bigger impact on SmackDown than The Rock did. But just continuing on here, number 3, Viva la Raza, Eddie Guerrero, WWE Champion. He was on SmackDown as a mid-card tag team wrestler with Los Guerreros, with his his nephew, Chavo. So, good little era there. He elevated himself, kind of similar to JBL. JBL actually took the title from Eddie Guerrero, but Eddie elevated himself, beat Brock Lesnar to take that WWE Championship at No Way Out, defended it successfully at WrestleMania 20. And just that all happened on SmackDown, man. His reign there, whenever he was doing the lie, cheat, steal stuff, coming out in a different lowrider every week. Entertaining, to say the least. And he was, without a doubt, making SmackDown must-watch every single week. Number 2, the person that he successfully beat at WrestleMania 20, the Olympic gold medalist, Kurt Angle. He is synonymous with SmackDown. I know he got drafted to Raw. He even made a run with TNA, I believe he was on ECW as well for a little bit. I mean, it's just, it is what it is. But Kurt Angle is somebody that whenever you think about him, number 1, you think about SmackDown. That's kind of the brand that he was at whenever he was doing his thing as WWE Champion. Had a hell of a rivalry with Brock Lesnar, amongst others, Eddie Guerrero included, like I just referred to. But, man, it's not a list without Kurt Angle. And if you're talking about SmackDown wrestlers who just dominated that brand, it doesn't get much better than Kurt Angle, but there is maybe one guy who is synonymous with SmackDown that he might edge out the Olympic gold medalist, and it's none other than the Phenom, the Dead Man, the Undertaker. I mean, where do I start? Like this, his American Badass gimmick, that was kind of on SmackDown. He was a nice heel on SmackDown as well. If you go back and kind of watch some of the stuff from like 2002, you see him do a lot of heel tactics going against a lot of different wrestlers. I wish I could name all of them off the top of my head here, but man, he was just doing his thing and transforming to the Dead Man, or I guess transforming back to the Dead Man. That happened on SmackDown, and him having that reign as World Heavyweight Champion whenever that belt was brought over to SmackDown, feuding with guys like Batista. Just to say the least, Heidenreich, I believe, even had a nice little feud against Undertaker. You might not know who Heidenreich is. He didn't have a long stint with WWE, but he definitely an interesting character for sure. But anyways, he had a lot of good runs on SmackDown, a lot of good runs on Raw too. But if I think about SmackDown, I think about the Undertaker for sure, and he was just kind of that presence. Raw had Kane, SmackDown had Undertaker, and it was just somewhat of like a perfect fit. And there's some things that shouldn't change. And this list, if anything, I hope reminds you of how badass it is to have a true brand split, to have it structured, to have some actual like foundation there. You know what I'm talking about? Like to actually be able to look at a wrestler and think, man, it'd be weird to see him on the other show. Whenever they show up, your mind's actually like, holy crap, like this is actually important. And then whenever they pull a draft out of their ass and they want to just switch people over, it actually means something. Like now, look, Sami Zayn's been on SmackDown for like 2 or 3 years now straight, maybe even longer. If he were to show up on Raw, it would look weird, at least at first. Bobby Lashley coming over to SmackDown, that would look weird for a little bit. Damian Priest as well, him coming over. Like, there's people who you don't really see on the other brand here lately, and I hope I hope they stay true to that, because they could really get something going there. But I have had the floor for a while now, kind of running through this list. What are your thoughts on it? You can comment on whatever, whether it's the, honorable mentions, or just if you have anybody that maybe you think I might have missed that, is, I guess, synonymous with SmackDown.
Man, I can't really say exactly, like, if they were on SmackDown. I really didn't, like, I didn't know the brand like that, I guess you could say, So, of course, whenever I think of stuff, I kind of think of The Rock as well. I think of Stone Cold in a way.
What?
And, of course, like you said, Undertaker. That's the 3 big names that I can think of. I can't really... Man, I'm pretty sure, maybe if I just put out some names, you'd probably say, yeah, they were there. But, yeah, man, those are the 3 ones that I would say that pop out to me.
Yeah, definitely some good stuff, without a doubt. Brock Lesnar, somebody who I also wanted to mention because he was on SmackDown during his WWE run and his first WWE run. And that was something that was an asset. Like when they had Brock Lesnar on their roster, like you knew, like, damn, they got the beast over there. But anyways, I hope you guys enjoyed that Top 5. Top 5 Friday, we like to do those over here, especially whenever it kind of just falls into our lap like this. Whenever it just feels right, like it's like a, you say, give me a sign, and one hits you square in the face. Like 1200th episode of SmackDown, it just made too much sense to do a SmackDown-themed Top 5, and I hope that the listeners enjoyed that, as well as the SmackDown review. Definitely hope you guys enjoyed that. Like we said, they got some good stuff coming up next week. I do believe we get, I think, Ricochet versus Corbin. That's a match that was announced. Raquel and Aaliyah versus Toxic Attraction. We're going to get that match next week on SmackDown. So you can definitely look forward to some good action, as well as all the good podcasts that are going to be coming out throughout the week here on the WWE podcast. You got the Weekend Review. You got the NXT Review with Memphis Mark. AEW Weekend Review, I believe, is what Mimi is doing this week. The Mailbag. Raw Review. I'm not sure if I commented that or mentioned that one yet, but either way, you guys already know. Some very good stuff coming here on the WWE podcast. One more time, go listen to Football Function. Maybe subscribe on your favorite podcast app if you haven't already. Definitely would appreciate that. Goes a long way to helping me out. And like I said, I am forever indebted to those of you who have taken the time to support that podcast over there. But I can't thank you enough for listening to this podcast right here, the SmackDown Review. If you're a first-time listener, thank you so much for choosing this podcast. And if you are a regular listener, thank you so much for making this part of your weekly routine. And hopefully you will continue to do that. And let me and John be the ones who break down this SmackDown for you, because we definitely enjoy doing it. But John, any shout-outs, any plugs, anything like that before we sign off here?
Well, man, the way I just want to end the show is this. I just like how everything is just kind of like different already. Like you can kind of see like little tiny things that are making like big impacts, I guess you could say. So I definitely want to say shout out Triple H for, definitely spicing things up, I guess you could say. But definitely want to give you a shout out, man. Yeah, definitely check out the Football Function. It's about to get juicy. We got some football games tomorrow. Ready for that.
Oh, yeah.
But, yeah, man, definitely want to thank the listeners for, like Mike was saying, making this part of your routine, weekly listen, I guess you could say. But, yeah, definitely want to just close it out like that.
All right, I appreciate you taking us with you. Whatever it is that you're doing, whenever you listen to this podcast, whether you're just, going for a drive in your commute to work, actually at work, maybe at the gym, doing whatever it is you do. Sometimes I listen to podcasts while I play Madden or something like that. Like, it's just ways to pass time, definitely while I'm working. So, I hope that we are, helping you do whatever you do in a safe way. Don't be, swerving off the road or anything like that, trying to, skip through the ads. Definitely, if you got ads going on, just go over to Patreon. Get that problem out of the way. Quick little plug there to close it out. But I hope you guys all have a damn good weekend. Walk passionately in the direction of your dreams. I'll talk to you soon. Go Falcons.
All right, so the truth is, no dude wants to be called Pam. But the truth is, most men have a Pam problem. The Pam problem, guys, you know what that is? It's the passive-aggressive man. Passive with his hopes, dreams, desires, maybe aggressive with vices, self-sabotage, distractions. They also struggle with women, work, and the world of men. Pam is passive with women, constantly friend-zoned. He's the nice guy that women keep around to help them move, check on their dogs, but never want to date. Pam is passed up at work, passed up for the promotion, and can't seem to catch a break. If you think you may have a Pam problem, or maybe you know someone that does, check out the High Value Man Conversation on Apple and Spotify and learn how to stop Pam and become a high value man. Learn more about the host, Aaron Alejandrino, on Instagram at TheFitBeard, all one word. But the podcast is called High Value Man Conversation. I checked it out on Apple Podcasts. It already has a 5-star review. It's got some great episodes, including how to avoid that dreaded friend zone. Those of you guys out there, I'm very familiar with that friend zone over the years. I was lucky enough to finally get out of it, but that is going to be an excellent episode for you guys out there that are stuck in that situation. You can also learn how to just make friends. Just basic stuff, but critical stuff as well. Check out the High Value Man Conversation. It's available on Apple Podcasts and Spotify. You're not going to want to miss it. It'll add value to your life, guaranteed. Check it out today.
Thanks for listening to the WWE Podcast. Don't forget to subscribe on your favorite podcast app so you don't miss a show, or head to WWEpodcast.com. And for all of these shows ad-free, head over to patreon.com/WWE Podcast. Until then, we'll see you next time.